Good morning, students. I welcome you all for the final year. First of all, you have been promoted for the final year in this COVID duration. So, now today will be my first class. My class is Software Architecture and Design Pattern. This is a subject which I am going to deal for this semester, and hope the last semester also I was with you for the artificial intelligence subject, where I have come across the whole AI concepts. Now for this semester I will be dealing with the software architecture and design patterns. This is one of the important subject as a part of theory and as a part of laboratory. So I will be dealing the both theory and the laboratory part, in which you will surely enjoy the whole sessions which have been required to complete this semester. Okay, now before going to preside the whole syllabus and the whole subject, I would like to present a brief on your JNT Kakinada prescribed syllabus. If you will see here, you can see here 6 units. The unit 1 ensembles with the 2 parts. One is regarding the basic architecture fundamentals and regarding the quality attributes. Although these 2 concepts you have come across in the software engineering subject, where you might have seen that how and why the need of software architecture you might have come across in the software engineering subject. Likewise, this whole subject is purely depending upon your software engineering architecture and design concepts. So here in the first unit we will deal about the architecture basics, architecture fundamentals, which includes the whole business cycle of the architecture, and then definition of architecture, architectural patterns, reference models, reference architectures, architectural styles, structures and views. So these are the things which you will discuss in the unit 1. The half part deals with the only fundamentals. The second part deals with the creating architecture and what are the quality attributes, achieving the qualities, various architectural styles and patterns, designing the architecture, how to design the architecture, documenting software architectures and reconstructing the software architecture. So these are the topics which we will discuss in the unit 1. I think so most of you familiar with the software architecture definition. You might have seen some architectural patterns and you might have seen some reference architectures in the software engineering subject. The same will be treated and some in-depth concepts will be explained and discussed with all of you, so that how these will go in depth. Then later we will discuss about the how to create the architectures, what are the various quality attributes, how to achieve the quality and architectural styles. For that, what are the required patterns, how to design the architecture and documenting of software architectures and reconstructing software architecture. So these are the new parts. You might have seen some only just quality attributes, FOBS quality factors, like that different types of quality factors you might have seen in the unit 3rd of your software engineering. But here we will see not only the basics, fundamentals, concepts, you will also see the in-depth concepts of these topics. Now let's, in the unit 2 we will discuss about the analyzing architectures. So for this, whenever you come to know what is the need of architecture, how we can differ with the design and the architecture, then you need to analyze the various steps of architectures. For that, how the architecture has been evolved, what are the various stages of the architecture, architecture design, decision makings. So this is a very important part. So for that we are having ATAM and CBAM. So these are the two various architecture styles which you are going to see. Now apart from this, the advanced concepts such as software product lines, building systems from the off-shell components, that is COTS, component of the cells, and software architecture in future. So these are the concepts which we will discuss, and then in the unit 3 we will mainly focus on the patterns, pattern descriptions, what is the need of a pattern. From here we will go into the design pattern concepts. Unit 1, unit 2 deals with the fundamentals of architectures, types of architectures, as well as your how these architectures will be evolved, how they will analyze, and what are the software product lines. All these things we will discuss in the unit 1 and unit 2. Whereas in the unit 3 onwards, we will discuss about the patterns. Here you will see, from here onwards one more new textbook will come into picture. Till then, first unit 1, unit 2 deals with the Len Bass textbook, software architecture in practice. Okay. From unit 3 onwards, now design part will come into picture. So first of architecture will come into picture, then the design will take into picture. So in this, various types of patterns we will see, pattern descriptions, organizing the catalogs, role in solving design problems, selection and usage. So all these things you will present from the next textbook by Erich Gamma Gang of 4 textbook we used to call Elements of Reusable Software Components, that is design patterns textbook. This is the main textbook which has been very much given very much good concepts till from 1994 onwards. This book has changed a whole era of the software design patterns. Then we will see the different types of patterns. Among them we will discuss about the creational patterns, behavioral patterns, architectural patterns. Like that we will discuss various patterns. Among them, in the creational patterns, in the unit 3 itself, we will see about the abstract factory, builder, factory method, prototype, singleton. So these are all the various creational patterns. So these patterns will be useful how to create a particular objects. In those sense, we are going to making use of creational patterns. So we will mainly discuss about the abstract factory, builder pattern, factory method pattern, prototypes pattern, singleton. So these are the various creational patterns. Actually, along with this, we are also somewhere having various patterns, but as per syllabus, we will discuss only about these 5 patterns. Then we will come into structural patterns. So whenever you have created a pattern, it is necessary for you to know the structure of a particular system. So at that time you need some structural patterns which are already available, which can be reusable. So we are having different types of patterns such as adapter pattern, bridge pattern, composite pattern, decorator pattern, facet pattern, flyweight pattern, and proxy pattern. So these are the 7 various patterns which we will see as a part of structural patterns. One of the most important patterns is adapter pattern, and every pattern will have its own roles. You will see how those patterns can be useful. Next is behavioral patterns. This is the third part of your patterns. Unit 5 deals with the behavioral patterns, chain of responsibility, command state, interpreter pattern, iterator pattern, mediator pattern, memento pattern, observer pattern, state pattern, strategy pattern, template method pattern, and at last visitor pattern. So behavioral patterns will play a vital role whenever we will be working with the various patterns. So if we will see into a system, the behavioral systems will be the most important system. How it will reacts, how it will works to a given particular functionality. Now your unit 6 deals with the case studies. So although you might have learned the basic fundamentals of architectures, need of architectures, how the software architectures will be, and what are all their quality attributes, how to build an excellent architecture, how to make the various designs for a particular architecture, depending upon the need, how the patterns, how the architecture will be so considering all these things, we are going to develop some case studies. So a 7E case study in utilizing software architectures. World Wide Web is also one of a case study in interoperability. Air traffic control. So these are the three various case studies, and one more important is tech, which is nothing but a product line development, which is also one of the important case study. And last but not the least, a case study to designing a document editor. You might have seen the Notepad is a document editor, your WordPad is a document editor, your MS Word is a document editor. So all this, what are the various design problems you are going to face, what is the document structure, how the formatting can be done, how ensembling the user interfaces can be done, supporting multiple look and feel standards, supporting multiple window systems, user operations, spelling checking, and hyphenation. So these are the various 6 units we will deal from the software architecture and design patterns. Again, one more thing I would like to say to all of you students, that software architecture deals with the first 2 units, the next 4 units deals with the design patterns, sorry 3 units deals with the design patterns. At last unit 6 deals with the case studies, which is related with the design as well as the architecture. So if you want to know about the textbooks which can be required for this subject, are nothing but Software Architecture in Practice by Len Bass. Len Bass, he is the one of the famous author, and he has written this very good textbook. I have shown here one image, Software Architecture in Practice, which is a Pearson, and which is available in a low price edition, as well as for the India, this is the textbook available. Along with this, there are some more top rated cover also is there with the same name, the same author, but I prefer that this is the best textbook for the unit 1, unit 2 concepts, and the remaining design patterns concepts, unit 3, 4, 5 and even 6 also, up to some extent you are see about the design patterns, elements of reusable object oriented software. If you will ask me, these four people, Erich Gamma, Jacobson, Ivar Jacobson, like that 4 authors textbook, this is they used to call it as like a gang of 4, famous for the, this is the GOF textbook, that is gang of 4 textbook, people used to call it as like a gang of 4 textbook. This textbook is very useful, and whenever this textbook has came into market, much of the design part of the whole software engineering has been changed. So I prefer this textbook, which is also a Pearson education print, which is also a low price edition and available in the Indian market. If you will see, dear students, throughout my whole career of this 14 years experience, I have spent around 12 years especially with these 2 textbooks. So I feel happy that these 2 textbooks are always with me, and every concept which have been from these 2 textbooks I learned a lot, and I request all the students to get these 2 textbooks not from the library, buy these 2 textbooks, because whenever you will join in the industry also, you need to know about the software architectures, you need to know about the design patterns. Without these 2 fundamental basic concepts, you can't do anything. So it's better that, my dear students, to buy these textbooks and maintain with you. Next, After this syllabus and the various textbooks, now I would like to discuss about the various course outcomes which have been required for this course. So usually you might have seen in your artificial intelligence also I taught with you, Java programming also I taught you, this the same batch. In a very first class I used to discuss about the syllabus and the course outcomes. So here the course outcomes, there are 6 course outcomes we have designed for this course. The first course outcome deals about the fundamentals of software architecture. As I told you that the first course outcome deals with the need of architecture, definition of architectures, definitions of quality attributes, all those things which are very important. Without those fundamentals, you can't go for the unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, unit 5, unit 6. So I feel that the course outcome 1, which is nothing but the discusses about the fundamentals of software architecture. The course outcome 2 discusses about the analysis of software architectures and the progress of architecture or the progress of software architectures, how the evaluation of software architectures have been done. For that, what are the various models we have been acquired and how they have been implemented. So these are the 2 course outcomes which are related with the only software architecture. The third course outcomes onwards, you will find the design patterns concepts, the design concepts. Here in this course outcome 3, we will come to know about the definition of a pattern, need of a pattern, how this pattern will be required, and what are the various types of patterns such as creational patterns, behavioral patterns, structural patterns. All these things we used to discuss. Along with that, in the course outcome 3 itself, we will discuss about the various creational patterns. As I told you that abstract factory, singleton, likewise around 5 to 6 patterns are there. All these 5 patterns we will discuss, and those help us how to create the basic objects and basic references for a particular software system. Next is course outcome 4, deals with the various structural patterns. Already I have discussed with you various structural patterns and what are the various types of various patterns, faced as well as your around 7 patterns I have shown you. All those 7 patterns, structural patterns, which are very important patterns to develop a structure for a particular software. And last but not the least, course outcome 5, describe about various behavioral patterns. Here also we will see the various patterns, chain of responsibility is there, visitor is there, and then your iterator is there, like that proxy pattern is there. All these patterns we will discuss in the course outcome 5. And in the course outcome 6, we will discuss about the various case studies related with the architecture and the design pattern. So my dear students, at the end of this course, you are going to see the outcomes, these outcomes, how these 6 outcomes you have to achieve, and we will make the various assessments to achieve these various course outcomes. Now in the unit 1, now I will be shifting to the fundamental introduction class, where today anyhow these 20 minutes I have discussed about the basic purpose of the subject, need of the subject. Now the remaining 20 minutes, almost 20-25 minutes, I will be discussing some of the basic fundamental concepts, and I am not going to complete any unit 1 today itself, just the introduction class for the unit 1, and we will see some basic fundamentals. The unit 1 topics I will be enlightening you, and I will be focusing with these concepts. The listed concepts will be available here. Now, the architecture business cycle, how this business cycle will be there for the development of a software architecture. And what is software architecture? Definition of a software architecture I am going to explain in a brief manner. And then, what are the various architectural patterns? Then afterwards, we will see about the reference models and reference architectures. We will see the differences. We used to expect these two questions many times, reference models and reference architectures. One of the important questions. And architectural structures and styles. This is also one of the important concepts. And views also important concept. Then later, this is the first part. This is the first part which I told you in the unit 1. This is the first part which is whole fundamentals, definitions, some architectural concepts. The second part deals with whenever you are going to developing your architecture, you need to know about the quality attributes and achieving the qualities, architectural styles and patterns, designing the architecture, documenting the architectures, and reconstructing the software architectures. So in these two parts, one part purely basing fully depending upon the fundamentals and definitions. The remaining second part deals with the upper layer of the fundamentals such as quality attributes, achieving qualities, architectural styles and patterns, designing the architecture, documenting the software architectures, and reconstructing the software architectures. We will see and discuss about these concepts. Now, going to the first topic of your unit 1, I will be mainly focusing on the software architecture business cycle. Before going to the definition, this is the main part for me. Why we need software architecture? Where aspects in the market, who will be going to use it? How it can be implemented? If I will develop a software architecture, who will be the key role persons to access it? Who is going to go buy my software? Who is going to buy my architecture? Where my architecture will be useful? It is linked with any business concepts? So all these things we are going to see now. An architecture is a result of a set of business and technical decisions. So before going to these concepts, I would like to put a small framework in front of you that you might have come across with the object oriented analysis and design subject, where you might have seen we are going to develop a blueprint for a particular software using a model. Yes or no? You might have seen a model. A model can be defined as a blueprint design, so which will give some representation for me. By seeing that blueprint, I can understand the system. Before that, I would like to give an example to you that if you want to construct a building or any home, you need to first of all get a plan from a civil engineer. So in this, the civil engineer will give say an approved layout plan for you for a double bedroom, hall, kitchen, rented home. So with that structure, with that plan, you are going to develop the whole house. Yes or no? Likewise, without model, you cannot do anything. It means you are going to represent the whole things and you are going to achieve it. So an architecture is a result of a set of business and technical decisions. Without those technical decisions, you cannot achieve a business aspects. So I can say that by combining business and technical decisions, I am going to build an architecture. Next, the requirements make explicitly but only some of the desired properties. That is, the software architect will consider the requirements from the stakeholders and the developing organization. And these requirements are nothing but they are the qualities. They are the qualities. Okay. This he is going to produce for the technical environment, architect's experience. So here the architect or the architects will develop an architecture which will leads to a system. That system will influence on the need of the stakeholders or the developing organization, technical environment and the architecture's experience. So if I have developed one architecture means I have got an experience on the architecture. So it is the business cycle, how we have developed a architecture. So architectures are influenced by system stakeholders. The stakeholders have different concerns which may be in coordinator. So in that coordination they are going to perform anything. It means in order to have a acceptable system we need to have some properties. The properties such as the architecture should perform some properties such as there must be performance of architecture or the system, reliability of the system, availability of the system, platform compatibility of the system, memory utilization of the system, network usage of the system, security of the system, modifiability of the system, usability of the system, interoperability with other systems. So if we will see in detail, I have got a software, I have got a system, that system must be give some result, it means the performance. The system must be reliable, it means it has to act whatever the inputs I am going to give. The system must be available to access. The system must be platform compatible. And the system must be utilized for a particular memory. And there should be some network usages. And the system should provide some security so that no one can access our system. And it must be modifiability, usable to the users, interoperable with any other system. So these are the main attributes. These are the main 10 to 11 attributes which will be the main properties which will be required to have a particular software architecture. So without these properties no one will accept the architecture before developing the system. Now let's we'll take an example that you have got an Android app. That app must be reliable to access, available to access, it must perform some desired functionalities, and it has to work on any of the platform, whatever the platform we are going to using, and there should be some memory usage utilization among the app. Without network issues we can't do anything, so network usage must be there, and you have to provide the access to the particular users, means there should be security, and the same app must be modifiable for the further usage and usability. At last, interoperability with any other system. So these are the main properties. Along with that, the requirements do not capture these properties well enough. Whatever the requirements we are going to giving, these are the main properties. Not only the requirements must also consider, architects must identify and actively engage stakeholders early in the life cycle. It means that they have to understand the real constraints of the system, manage the stakeholders' expectations, negotiate the system's properties, priorities, make the trade-offs. So these are the main 4 concerns. It means what the real constraints of the system. I am going to develop a system means how that system must be act, how the system must be required, and how to manage the stakeholders' expectations. Now my customer is expecting something, but I am achieving something. It means that there is a mismatch among both of us. We are unable to reach to a particular solution, and negotiate the system properties, and there should be must be it must be able to perform the trade-offs. Here trade-off means the desired user's expectation on the development of the developer. So there should be no any gap among these two persons. So whenever the architecture will be engaging himself to satisfy the stakeholders, he must has to consider these four main aspects. So architects needs more than a technical skill. That is, so these are the four skills every architect must possess. Diplomacy. Here diplomacy means not getting a diploma. Diplomacy means depending upon the need you have to work out, and there should be a negotiation what type of architecture you are going to developing, and depending upon the requirements of the system you have to negotiate yourself. The communication skills with the stakeholders, that is the customers, are essential. So these are the main three attributes, three technical skills you have to possess. So just now till now we have come across only the concepts of the business cycle of the architecture. So in order to make a developing organization, an architecture is influenced by the structure or nature of the development organization. That is, immediate business investment for the existing architecture, long term business investment, long term infrastructure, organization structure. For example, subcontracting, skills of employees. So these are the three things a developing organization must possess. That is, immediate business investment. For example, you are not going to develop a new software architecture, you are going to make use of existing software architecture. The long term business investment, you are going to develop an infrastructure which can be useful for the long terms. In the organization structure, what will happen is it will be given as like a licensed version, or it can be given as like a subcontracting, skills of employees. Now the background and experience of the architects. Now in order to make our architects, what is the type of architecture I need to buy as like as a part of the organization parts, what the architect has did in the past and what not, and what is the education qualification of the architect, what are the types of trainings he has gone into, exposure to various architectural patterns, and he wished to experiment with some new things. The technical environment is he must have some practices and techniques of the professional community. So whatever I have discussed just now, all these are the software architect business cycle. So here I have discussed with the two things. One thing is purely concerning with the architect part, another thing is with the organization part. Here in this topic, what I am going to show is what are the skills or abilities required to have an architect, and what the things should be required by an organization. So these two things I have clearly mentioned in front of you. Now I am going to discuss about the software architecture. Till now we have not come across the definition of an architecture. Now the software architecture of a program or computing system is the structure of structures of systems which includes software elements, externally visible parts of those elements, and the relationship among them. See, I am dividing the whole software architecture into three terms. If you will see clearly, I am going to dividing the whole software architecture into three parts. One is elements part, and then what are their outside visible parts such as buttons, interfaces, and then how those external parts and the elements have been related to one another. It means the relationship among them. So we can define a software architecture as set of some aspects such as software elements, externally visible properties of the elements, of those elements, and the relationship among them. So if I will combine these three things, I am going to getting an architecture. Now here I will discuss some more part on software elements. A software element is nothing but it can be a functionality or it can be a hardware component which will give some functionality by using a software piece of code. Next part is externally visible properties. They are nothing but the elements such as services providing, performance characteristics, fault handling, shared resources, and so on. I will give an example to a shared resource to you. Printer is a device, is a resource which is going to access the print command. From the print command, if I will type print or if I will click onto the enter button onto the print command, it is going to give the resource, the shared resource, to the externally connected device, that is a printer. So these are the shared resources, how they are going to access. For example, I will take the Wi-Fi also. Whenever the Wi-Fi is available, I am going to interact with the Wi-Fi and connect with the Wi-Fi by using some security purposes, authentication, authorization usage, by entering my username and password, and I am going to make use of that resource. So how I am going to access the resource which is available outside and implementing that resource in my desktop or in my mobile. So these are the externally visible properties. Last but not the least, the relationships among these two, that is the elements and the external parts. How they are related. They are strongly related or weakly related, they are part of the related or subclasses related, they are dependent or not dependent. These all things will come into picture. You might have seen in your UML subject, OOAD subject in last semester, where the clear cut, the access of class diagram with the relationships. You might have seen how one class is connected with another class. Is it a dependent relation or associate relation or inheritance relation or your aggregation, likewise. So these are the various relationships which will give the strength into your both the classes. Now, see, whenever I will be discussing about the whatever the definition I have told you, there will be some implications for the given software. Architecture defines the software elements, how the elements related to each other. Now here one question, how the elements will related to each other. One question will come into picture. Architecture is foremost, it's an abstraction of the system. Yes or no? We don't know how the architecture will be so. Just we will switch on the button, but how the computer will works, it's an abstraction. Just I will switch on the fan, but how the fan will works, it's one of the implication. System comprises more than one structure. Our system looks only one structure, but inside I will see onto my motherboard there will be so many things are connected. So no one structure can claim to be architecture. Yes or no? Relationships elements might be runtime based or non-runtime based. Here runtime based means we are sending the data process. Non-runtime related means submodel of inheritance, such type of classes. Every computing system with software has an architecture. It does not necessarily follow the architecture is known to anyone. An architecture can exist independently of its description or specification. The behavior of each element is a part of the architecture. What I told you is right from the starting of this unit, the behavior of each element is a part of architecture. If I click on to the login button on my Gmail, it itself gives the behavioral functionality. It will takes me to the, if the username and password are correct, it will takes me to the directly to the Gmail inbox. Likewise, allow elements to interact with one another. It means the user interface design. Add specification and properties to the elements and relationships. The definition is indifferent as to whether the architecture for a system is a good one or bad one. We don't know it. Now, if you will see regarding the architectural patterns, this is one of the important concept that is a set of constraints on an architecture. Okay, we can define an architectural pattern. Without patterns you cannot do anything. A description of an element and relation types together with a set of constraints on how they may be used. See, I have discussed about the architecture. In that we have discussed about the elements, software elements, and the physical things which have been externally available and how they have been related. That is known as architecture. Architectural pattern is nothing but the whatever the software element we are going to using in the architecture, that architecture's description and relation types of one another. If we are going to keep any some constraints, how they may be used. So for that we are going to we need to know what are the constraints you are going to keep on architecture. What is a family, set of family? You are going to define a set or family of architectures. An architectural pattern is not an architecture. Exhibit known quality attributes. Often the architect's first major design choice. Architecture's style has also been widely used. Now at last, simply I can give an example of a client and server, how they are going to be communicating one another. It's also one type of architecture. So if I will see in detail my architectural styles, my architectural models, my architectural need, and how the architecture can be designed, all these things will plays a key vital role for a software developer to develop a particular software. So dear students, for today's class, if you will see right from the starting, I have discussed about the introduction of the subject, software architecture and design patterns. Then I have discussed about the syllabus concepts regarding 6 units. I have given a brief overview to all of you. And what are the textbooks that have been required? I strongly suggest you to get these 2 textbooks along with you and put with you. As the first textbook, Software Architecture in Practice by Len Boss, deals with the first 2 units, and the design patterns deals with the remaining units. Elements of reusable object-oriented software, Gang of 4 textbook, Erich Gamma, Ivor Jacobson, Grady Booch, and James Radisky. These are the 4 authors who have brought this textbook to all of us. I believe these are the 4 people who are very important for me and very important in my life, because I have followed this textbook and my guru Len Boss textbook also. And then we have seen the course outcomes, the topics such as architecture business cycle, software architecture, architectural patterns. So in the software architecture business cycle, we have seen what are the needs of a customer and what does the architect will be required, and how this architecture's business cycle will goes on, and what are the properties to be required such as performance, reliability, availability, platform compatibility, memory utilization, network usage, security, modifiability, usability, interoperability, all these things. And what does the architecture must required, and based on the qualifications of architect, and for the developing organizations what they are required, and what is the background and the experience of the architect, the technical environment, and the definition of an architecture we have seen in a clear manner. And for that definition, what are the implications can be raised whenever we are going to developing a architecture. Then afterwards we have seen the architectural patterns also. So my dear students, for today's class I will be ending here with these concepts. Hope you might have enjoyed the whole session, and in the next class, coming class, we will see the reference models and reference architectures, all these concepts in the next class. Hope you will enjoy the session, and if you are having any questions, please get back to me online.